We will now hear a reflection from Amanda Lamont. Amanda is a volunteer with the Australian Red Cross. She was a first responder and is representing all volunteer first responders who attended the scene.
I acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Wurundjeri people. I acknowledge the bereaved, those injured, those who witnessed the event, dignitaries and members of the public. All of us here today have been impacted by this event. When reflecting with colleagues about our experiences over the weekend at the memorial in Bourke Street, we all have memories that I think will stay with us forever. There were a lot of contrasts. We saw the mass outpouring of grief on the one hand, alongside people getting on with the business of life. We saw sadness, shock and despair, alongside love and kindness. I remember the beautiful mishmash of flowers, cards, notes and gifts and toys that spontaneously appeared and gave us all something to gather around. It continued to grow like the crowd, like it had a life of its own. There was a real sense of the power of all of the organisations working together, each in their unique and complementary roles. Afterwards, people talked about the importance of the agencies being there together and doing what they did best. I remember at one point seeing one of my colleagues sitting in the shade on the stairs. In her well-known uniform, people seemed to gravitate to her. I think perhaps they were feeding off her strength and calm. She was sitting amongst people who had come, especially, to be together, to make sense of something that made no sense, to ask questions that had no answers, to understand something that had no explanation, to have to see to believe something that was so unbelievable, something that shouldn't happen. She would probably say that all she was doing was listening, but she was doing so much more than that. Immersed in their sadness, people opened up to others to find solace. I remember seeing strangers supporting strangers. Their guards were down, their vulnerabilities exposed. You didn't need to be in a uniform to help. It reminded me that it is a very normal thing for people to reach out and help other people in times of need. This is what we call at Red Cross the power of humanity. At the memorial, people were crying openly, and they were still crying when they walked away. This grief, for them, for then, could not be taken away. And that broke my heart all over again. But we know that this grieving and the need to come together as a community is normal. It is what people do when tragedy strikes. They come together to be together, to draw on each other's strength and resilience. One lady said to me, "I just feel so sad." And these were the only words that she had to describe how she felt. And then she said, "Thank you so much for being here. It reminds us that there is still good in the world."
Thank you, Amanda.